sad face. 2 smite rolls later, and the sorcerer and the master possessions have killed off a unit of scarabs and have severely damaged another one. No reanimation. So, shooting phase. 3 Space Marines and the master possessions at the back fired pistols at the scarabs and did nothing. Heavy bolter shot at the wraiths and did nothing. The Rhino, with its Kami Bolter and Havoc Launcher, did manage to kill a Wraith and did manage to wound the other one, so in a much better position. So now we go to charging and subsequent fight phase. The only charge that I thought could possibly happen might have been from the Space Marines charging into the Scarabs over there, but they very much did not make the distance. So we go to the Necron turn. Movement. Not a lot of them left now. So the Wraith moved forward a little bit just so it has a better buffer of getting its charge in on these Obliterators. Technomancer and the Immortals just stayed put. The Scarabs scooted a little bit closer, and the Hexmark Destroyer dropped in on the backside of the squad. So I guess we'll see. Shooting phase. At the end of shooting, the Wraith managed to do a damage to the Obliterators. The Immortals did nothing. The Hexmark Destroyer killed 3 of the Space Marines, and with its 3 additional attacks, killed another 2. So they're super down. So we go into charge phase, fight phase, and the aftermath. The Scarab successfully charged into the Space Marines. The Wraith very unsuccessfully charged into the Obliterators because they did manage to die and not reanimate. Scarabs did nothing really to the Marines, and they did 1 damage in return, and nobody ran away, even after losing half the squad. So, Necron turn. Movement. I must be awake or extra awake. Wasn't that already the Necron turn? So it goes to Space Marine's turn? Definitely Night Lord's turn. So the Rhino just drives over this fence here and parks over by this mausoleum. The Obliterators are just staying there. The remaining Space Marines are gathered to try and take on this Hexmark. Master Possessions moved up a little bit, and the Sorcerer tried to summon a demon and failed. So, Psychic phase. Combined smiting between the two successfully killed off one of the remaining Scarab units. So we go into shooting for Night Lords. So the Space Marines did a point of damage to the Hexmark. The Psykers, with their plasma pistols, did a point of damage to the Scarabs. One of the Obliterators killed one of the Immortals, while the other Obliterator killed the Technomancer. So things are looking really, really grim for the Necrons right now. We'll see what happens to them in the fight phase. Charge phase. Space Marines successfully charged the Hexmark. He did not kill any of them in Overwatch. They didn't do any damage to him during the fight phase, and he did not do any damage to them. So now we go on to the Necron turn for movement. These Necrons have hopefully sent off a message to somebody because they have decided on a essentially suicidal experience here. Nobody's moving. Shooting phase for this Hexmark. The Hexmark completely decimated the foes in front of him, killing off 2 and then using the subsequent attacks to kill off the remaining 1. The Immortal tried to shoot at the Obliterators, but failed to hit with either. We'll see if the Scarab can take down at least one of these Psykers during the charge fight phase. Even with the remarkable success of the Hexmark, things are looking grim for the Necrons, the remaining 3. Scarab did successfully charge into the sorcerer, but didn't do any damage and received a bashing from the Crozier in return, doing a little bit of damage on its own. So, yeah, we go to the Night Lords, the remainder of them. The only real movement here was Master Possession is trying to get a little bit closer to the Hexmark. The Sorcerer, choosing to neither fall back nor try and do anything else, tried to summon in a Demon Prince and failed yet again. Dice, why do you hate me? I just needed a 9. I feel that the Sorcerer made up for his mistake by managing to successfully smite the Scarabs into death, while the Master Possession smote? I think it's smote. I'm gonna go with smote. He smote the Hexmark, cutting its life in half. So, shooting phase, and perhaps the Obliterators can finally kill this last immortal. The Obliterator successfully obliterated the remaining immortal with their 12 shots of death. Plasma pistols from the Psykers into the Hexmark yield nothing, though. Combat, if any. While the Psykers are Chaos Space Marines, they are not suicidal Space Marines, so we'll go ahead and end that. So we'll go on to this Hexmark's last remaining movements. Actually, you know what? He's not even going to move. He's just going to shoot at the Psykers because he can. The Hexmark Destroyer is going to certainly make them work for it after he brutally murders, well, just kills in times of war, the Master Possessions. Which is the end of his turn. So, Chaos. So the Obliterators move back over here on the other side of the fallen wall. The Rhino is poised behind it. We'll see if the smite finishes off the Hexmark or if we have to go to shooting. Chaos Sorcerer does indeed successfully smite the Hexmark, and it does not reanimate. So, ultimately, Chaos got their revenge and killed some Necrons, but they paid a severely heavy price for it, as these were the only survivors. Well, that was enjoyable, actually, minus the little hiccup in the middle. I apologize for that. And have a good day.